we're heading back to Sainsbury's and another new beer from them. This is by Siren Brew Company. This is called Silver Strand. It's a Californian IPA coming in at 6%. Not to be confused with the Asda beer, which is also a California IPA called Crystal Cove. This is slightly different, but what's it going to be like? Check out the review to find out. Welcome back to Rocker's Beer Review. We're heading back to Sainsbury's, more beers from them. This is a Siren Craft Brew Silver Strand California IPA coming at 6%. And what's quite strange, as I mentioned in the introduction, is that there's also a very similar looking can of beer by Siren called a California IPA from Asda, but that's called Crystal Cove, I think it's called. It looks pretty similar to this. Even when I saw it there, I thought it was, I didn't pick it up because I thought it was the same as this one. But I understand there's a different one, and I think it's got different hops in. But this is a California IPA, and I'll read what it says on the back. A beautiful, light, crisp IPA waves a welcome hoppy bitterness. Clean base notes provide the perfect base for a tropical hop contingent to work some magic. El Dorado, Cascade and Mosaic provide punchy pineapple, guava and peach flavours with a moreish resinous finish. Now, those sort of, when I see California IPA, I mean, obviously I think, well, obviously there's a West Coast beer, West Coast IPA, but I don't think I've had a West Coast IPA which has got pineapple flavours in it at all. You're always getting a much more orangey. Sometimes if it's a bit sort of strong, you can get like a more marmalade-y sort of flavour. Then you get that sort of quite harsh bitterness, piney, resinous, earthy. A lot more on the orange side and a lot less on the tropical side. But this one obviously seems to be, it's going to be a bit different. But let's get this beer out of the can and into a glass and see what it's all about. I don't know if anyone else has had this one from Sainsbury's, what they think of it. Yeah, I mean, pouring it out now. Actually, pouring it out now, yeah, I mean, that's definitely a West Coast type of IPA. You know, it's got a slight haze, but you know, it is also, you can see how much clearer it is at the bottom. Got one finger of head. It's a sort of, I suppose it's a light orangey sort of copper coloured, really. Let's get some aromas. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot more sort of fruity and yeah, you get pineapple in there and more citrus and pineapple. You know, if I hadn't seen this beer and I'd just smelt it, I would have gone, yeah, it's a very sort of more like an East Coast type of IPA. Smells pretty good, nice and inviting. I'm expecting it to be quite nice, refreshing, but let's get tasting, see what it's really like. Cheers, everyone. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely, those flavours are in there. There's a big pineapple hit when you first taste it. And you're getting some sort of orange, you're getting orange zest and another citrus in there as well. Bit of grapefruit, bit of passion fruit. And then it's got a real dry, it has a real dry sort of effect in terms of the throat. It really dries your mouth out. And then it's got a very bitter sort of, I wouldn't say it was a hugely piney sort of bitterness. It's much more of a sort of orange rind type of bitterness. But it's quite refreshing. It's quite tasty. It's quite good actually, and it's good because these supermarkets at the moment seem to be getting loads of New England IPAs, which, you know, is almost as if they're getting them in because Rocker likes New England IPAs, so let's get the New England IPAs out. And so I don't, you know, obviously when a supermarket beer, so I try and get as many of the supermarket beers as I can. When I saw this one, California, I was thinking it's a West Coast, but you know, I've got to try it because there's people out there that like West Coast. And I'm really glad I have, because it's a really nice, fruity, very light, you know, in the body. It's got quite a little prickly bit of carbonation, but not too much carbonation. It reminds me of some of those experimental hop IPAs we had from Buxton. has that big orange and passion fruit. Some of those had quite a big orange and passion fruit flavour, but it's quite nice with a pineapple. Keeps it a little bit more fresher, more zestier. And yes, you get that bitterness there, and you get that bit of pininess and resinous sort of finish on the back end, but it's quite pleasant. It's almost like, for me, it's about as much bitterness as I want, and that's brilliant. You know, that's why I quite like this beer. If you're a massive West Coast fan, I think you'll probably find this very lacking. If you're a sort of, you know, a sort of craft beer newbie, as it were, and you see some of the beers on the shelf and you think, oh yeah, California, that sounds like all summery and great, I'll try that one. And I think people go, well, that's a good introduction to craft beer, because it's quite a lot different than a lot of beer that they've probably had before. It has that light, refreshing sort of mouth sensation of a sort of, you know, of a lager or even a, you know, a golden ale. But it's got more going on. It's got a bit more fruitiness into it. And then it's got a really nice, the bitterness is just really nice to make it not too harsh. I mean, maybe if I had 2 or 3 of those, you'd probably, the throat would get so dried up that, you know, you'd probably lose the flavour of it. But in terms of a one-off, I think it's a nice beer. And as I say, for me, who isn't a massive West Coast fan, I actually find this quite enjoyable, actually. A bit disappointed that the head's pretty much gone there. Yeah, and the more I drink it, get that sort of pineapple, and you think, oh, that's nice, and then this orange wave, and this orange rind bitterness, you know, orange, this, you know, the rind of the orange, you know, it's that bitter sort of orange taste. Quite strong, but just when you think it's too strong, it sort of fades away, and then you think, yeah, actually it's quite nice. I'm getting still some of those fruit flavours left in my mouth, and you want to go back in. It's a pretty solid beer. Let's get some scores. Okay, the scores are in for Silver Strand, California IPA from Siren, available in Sainsbury's. £3 for a can of that, 440ml can, and it's 6%. It's not bad. It's certainly a little, for me, it feels like a lot different than a lot of the New England IPAs that we've had. But let's go through the scores. Firstly, aroma. Well, I mean, a lot of these sort of beers, I mean, it's not bad actually, the aroma. It's got a sort of, you get quite a lot of pineapple, which is a bit weird on a West Coast type of beer. Getting pineapple, you're getting oranges and passion fruit and other citrus fruits in there, a little bit of grapefruit. You're not getting overly an amount of pineness in there, which is what you would expect from a West Coast. It's quite inviting because it's got a very fruity aroma. So I'm giving it 12 for aroma. Appearance. Well, I mean, the appearance isn't great. It's got this, I mean, to me, that's almost like a sort of, you know, almost like an unfiltered lager, basically. It's the more I look at it, the less orangey it looks now. It's got a slight dirty like haze to it, opposed to a real sort of thick haze. Orangey, yeah, we got some bit of lacing on the glass that's quite nice, but the head pretty much dies pretty much quite quickly. It's quite thin in terms of its look, so I'm giving it 7 for appearance. Flavour wise, well, the flavours are, it's quite surprising. I wouldn't call it a hybrid in terms of, you know, like a mount, because a lot of the hybrids, what they call mountain IPAs, they usually have the sort of the flavours of the West Coast, but the body or the sort of mouthfeel of an East Coast. But this is still got a very much a West Coast type of body in terms of it. It's very light. It's quite prickly in terms of the carbonation. It's not nice and soft like you would get with an East Coast. But the flavours are pineapple, which is not, and you got passion fruit and oranges. And those sort of, there's a combination of those flavours. You don't really get pineapple flavour in a West Coast IPA. I don't think I've ever had a West Coast IPA which has got a pineapple flavour. This definitely has. But it's light, it's refreshing, it's The orange is a little bit, you get that pineapple up front, then you get that, then the orange and passion fruit sort of takes over a little bit, and then it's ended with a sort of slightly piney, but more sort of orange rind in terms of that sort of bitterness flavour. But it's very pleasant, and I quite like it, and I think a change is as good as a holiday, and I'm really glad that I've tried this one, because I think it's, you know, for me, it's the sort of beer that you think, that I thought, I'm not sure about this. I know it's a West Coast, because I know California's on the West Coast. If it was called, I don't know, well, New England, I suppose, is the state on the East Coast. I don't think you get a Florida IPA. Why don't you get a Florida IPA? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? But then, you know, would that have a lot of oranges in? Anyway, I've sort of diversed a bit, and I can't remember well. Flavour-wise, so let's give this a score. 32, I'm giving it for flavour. It's a solid flavour. The bitterness is there, but it's not overpowering. If you're a massive West Coast IPA fan, you might find it lacking. If you've never really got on with West Coast, or you sort of have it from time to time, be a massive New England fan, you would probably like this because it's got those sort of pineapple flavours and the bitterness is not overpowering. So 32 for flavour. Value for money. £3, 6% beer. I think that's great value for money. I'm giving that one a solid 9 out of 10. And then my overall experience, well, as I said, this is not the sort of beer that I certainly wouldn't go into a bottle shop and go, oh yeah, I really want a California IPA. If I drank 3 of those, I think the bitterness may get to me a little bit after that. But as a one-off beer, it's really nice. It's refreshing. It's fruity, pineapple, but light pineapple sort of flavours. I think it really works well, and it's nicely balanced. And especially for people that have not really experienced the West Coast or East Coast style, I think they'll get a lot from this. So overall experience, I think I'm giving it 13. So we top those scores up and we get a recommended beer, 73. Yeah, it's not the highest in the 70s. But for me, I think this is a good beer. It's a good addition to the supermarket range. Give it a try. Let me know what you think. I don't know whether the one in Asda, which is very similar, California IPA, Crystal Cove, I think that one maybe that one's going to be more West Coast than this one is. But I think this is a very solid beer, and at 73 out of 100, it's recommended. So I'm going to slide this one in slow and easy because it's a Whitesnake beer. And until the next one, keep on rocking.